Front Row MMA here with Rob Mills after his successful fight at Made for the Cage 7. Rob, it's been a while since you've been in the cage. How'd it feel to step back in?
Yeah, it felt really natural. I didn't feel like I had any ring rust at all. Just felt like I stepped straight back into it. It was fine.
Do you want to talk us through the first round? Because it looked, you landed a couple of shots and then...
Yeah, Costa's I don't know, a lot of people know that. Costa's only 3-0 at MMA, but he's had over like 50 K1 fights. He's the ISK Intercontinental Champion at 71 kilos, I believe, and he's a really, really good K1 fighter. So it was the first time I'd ever fought a guy of that pedigree striking. So it's always interesting to test yourself against them sort of guys. So the original plan was, you know, I'll throw hands with anybody in the UK, you know, outside of the UFC guys. I think I'm one of the best strikers, you know, in the division. So I thought, well, I'll strand with him, strike with him. I threw a jab, and I don't know if people know, but I broke my hand twice earlier on this year. I felt what I thought maybe was the hand go with the jab, and then I felt a bit of pain with the left hook. So I thought, this is getting a bit silly. I'm putting pride before sense. So I took the guy down, mounted him, hit him with a little short shot. I felt him go a bit limp, and then before I knew it, his corner put the towel in, which I was a bit disappointed. But I knew I broke his nose quite badly with the first shot I hit him with, and you could see it, and he came over afterwards and he said like, I'm really sorry, but my nose is broken. So I was looking forward to dropping some elbows. I've had them dropped on me. I've never really had many opportunities to drop them back. So, but yeah,
you know, you were saying that this fight was also on fairly short notice, and to sort of have to fight a guy with that kind of striking pedigree. You know, what can you do in the last few days leading up to that? How as a fighter do you prepare for that?
It was really hard. I happen to have an extremely good striking coach, or a good Thai boxing coach, and a chap by the name of Craig Josie, who is one of the top Thai boxers in the UK. He's the WMAD world champion at 71 kilos, I believe, and he can really push us in Thai boxing. Unfortunately, I was supposed to be fighting a chap who was basically a boxer / wrestler, so I hadn't been training much with Craig. I'd been doing one session probably every week, not much sparring with him, and just working on just outboxing Mr. Plummer and avoiding the takedowns. Obviously, the guy's going to look to take you down off a leg kick or something, so it made more sense to whip me wrestling, me boxing, as opposed to me Thai boxing. So it was a little bit frustrating when I'm like, you know, I had the perfect sparring partners in him, Pete Teox, and a lot of other good guys I train with. So, but like I said, I'm very confident in striking anyway. I've been doing this since I was 5 years old, so there's not really much can be shown.
Now, a successful win here, and it's put you as the #1 contender for the Made for the Cage welterweight title, and that's Craig the Duffer Turner. How long do you think before could we see that fight? Could that be as soon as the, I think, February card?
Yeah, I'd like to try and get it in the February. I'm not getting any younger, unfortunately. I'm 147 years old officially, although Sherdog has me at 35. But yeah, I'm getting older, you know. I'm very lucky in the fact that I've really been careful. I don't smoke or drink, I don't party. So I train with guys that are 21, 22 years old, and they're on like their 3rd knee surgery, you know. And I've never, touch wood, other than my hand, I've never had a single real serious injury. So yeah, maybe we get it up. He's a really good fighter. He beat a stablemate of mine, Colin the Freak Show Fletcher. There was some injury issues there. It wasn't exactly, you know, it wasn't what it looks on paper. Colin had a broken rib, went into the fight, and he re-injured it.
Yeah.
But you know, he's a good fighter, and he's a fantastic fighter. I'm a big fan of his, so it'd be good to lock up with it.
What obviously you don't want to talk game plans or strategies too much in advance, but what kind of puzzle does Turner pose? Where do you think he?
I think it would be a bad night for him if he can't get me down. I literally think outside of Paul Daly, I am the hardest punching 170 guy that's ever came from the UK. I've knocked guys out with punches that I've missed. If you look at some of my old fights, you know, I've hit guys for like sort of, and I've been doing it since I was 15, 16 years old in kickboxing, you know. So it would be a bad night for him to try and keep it standing. I feel very comfortable off my back now. Whenever I spar jiu-jitsu, I always do rounds after rounds off my back, just getting back up. So I think it will be a very, very hard fight. It'll be me trying to land shots on him, and I think it'll be him trying to take me down and work me over from top position. So it's pretty obvious. I'm not hard to work out. You know, I'm going to try and knock you out. I'm going to try and kick you. I'm going to try and punch you. You know. So, and I think he's going to try and take us down.
Well, I certainly think it's a fight that, you know, the Made for the Cage fans are going to appreciate, because both you guys are going to come for a war. I would expect that that's going to probably be a fight of the night. Yeah,
I would imagine so. I mean, I had a bit of a panic moment tonight when I was moving around, and I'm thinking, shit, you're sorry.
No, we encourage it.
I was thinking, shit, you're in a boring fight here. First time ever, you're in a boring fight here. You need to like Superman punch him or spinning hook kick him or something, you know. And that's why I was kind of went for that little crazy jump knee thing. He just moved away. But the guy was too cute to strike. I had to really go for my usual clever tricks, you know. I don't think people realise, but there's good strikers in MMA and there's good strikers in K1, and there's such a fucking difference, you know. Like a good Thai boxer and a good striker in MMA, you put them in a Thai boxing match and you're talking that's like a bad assault, you know. So you've got to be careful in that way and not get cocky with the fact I'm a really good MMA striker. It's different. It's a different level in K1, and Costa was a very good striker.
Are you hoping to, obviously, to stay a little more active than in the past year? How many fights would you be hoping for in the next?
I'd like to if this just turns out to be what I think it is, which is just a sprain on me in some tendons or something, then I'd like to fight again before the end of the year if possible. And then kind of stay active and you know, and get to fight again Mr. Turner and for the belt. So that's the plan. Whether or not it works like that, I've got a full-time job. I'm not one of these young kids that lives with his mum and does 2 nights on the door, and you know, this is incredibly hard for me to do, you know.
It seems like there's a lot of really, really high potential MMA talent in this country that just can't get the money to train full time. What does the UK need to do to support guys like yourself? And I was thinking guys like Rob Sinclair as well. And you know, you guys put on exciting fights. You've got fantastically good records, yet you can't, for love nor money, be able to train full time. How frustrating is that?
I think it's quite frustrating because, you know, I love the UFC. I'm a big UFC fan, but there's very much a monopoly there. And I remember when I fought on Bama and I looked around and there's pretty packed arena, and I'm thinking there's got to be more in this than the guys are getting paid, you know. Now I'm quite lucky in so much as that I have a well-paid job, which I do to to 100%. And MMA is a side for me. That's my career. This is my hobby, you know. And I don't think it's a real issue. You know, what I do 3 nights of the year, you know, it's fine, and I always conduct myself with decorum and stuff, you know. But I think there needs to be a turn. I personally think that MMA is a sleeping giant in the sporting world. It just needs something like Bama or Cage Warriors to really get it mainstream, but they need to be more regular. If they're more regular, then they can build names up. Let's face it, it's a long time since the days of pro wrestling when you had these names. Kids that used to watch pro wrestling are watching MMA now, and you just need to make it more accessible so they know where it is. I'm an MMA fan. I don't even know what channel half of these programs are on. I can't find Bellator. I don't have Sky. You know, it's ridiculous. So it needs to get sorted out, and hopefully, you know, maybe Zara might be a little bit too old for that. It might pass me by. But it would be nice to see some of the young guys in my camp that I've got that are really good guys.
Well, it's certainly guys like yourself who've been around for a little while. I'm not trying to age you, but you know, you're paving the way for you know, guys. You've mentioned Colin Fletcher. We all know that he's on the Tough Series and things like that. And
guys like tonight, like Mr. Punchin and Eugene, they're fantastic fighters. They shouldn't have to be worrying about money. Let's put this into perspective. If they were boxers, they'd be making several £1,000s. If people will pay £150,000 to watch Audley Harrison fall down in a snotty heap, then surely they should be willing to pay the money to watch skilled guys like that. I mean, that was a fantastic fight tonight. You know, there's been some fantastic fight nights right the way from amateur up, and it's outrageous, the disparities in wages between boxing.
I think it's, again, the need for a commission is probably massively important, but the need for things like the BBC to actually consider it a sport is. It was for somebody who's been outside of the cage for 12 months. No signs of ring rust.
Thank you very much.
Dominate. You know, it ended up being a dominating performance, and against a guy who is underratedly dangerous. We want to say congratulations. We look forward to watching you fight Craig Turner, and we hope that comes off.
Thank you very much, sir.
Is there anybody you'd like to shout out? Anyone you'd like to thank? Please feel free.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you very quickly, Chris Scott and Stu Bailey from Section 80 MMA. All of the guys at the Fight Pit, I really appreciate it. My boxing coach Lee Graham at Howden Fight Academy and Respect MMA, and my Thai boxing coach Craig Josie and the Gracie Barra guys at the factory. And obviously Made for the Cage for giving me this opportunity to fight and find me opponent. And finally Costa for actually taking the fight on short notice. I'm not a guy many people want to fight, certainly not in 3 days notice. He came out and we had a bit of fun standing up. A little bit disappointed the way it went on the floor, but you can only beat what's in front of you. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to have met you.
Cheers. Nice to meet you, sir.